Hi, everyone. My name is Tammy Berman. I'm a licensed mental health counselor here in Plantation, Florida, and virtually across the state of Florida. And I want to welcome a new member of our team, Kimberly Woolery, who we have an expanding group practice, and I'm so happy to have you as part of our team. So I want to just introduce you and ask you if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your background for us.
Sure. So hi everyone, my name is Kimberly Woolery and I have been a board certified behavior analyst since 2013, but I've been working in the mental health industry since 2012. I started working out in a pediatric OT clinic in Kingston, Jamaica. And I was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. And I think that is where my passion for providing what I call culturally sensitive and responsive services stem from.
Right. And so when we first met, maybe like a few months ago already, maybe 2 months ago or something, one of the things that stood out to me about you was what you had shared with me about your experience as a BCBA, as a behavioral analyst, and just experiencing the challenge or the lack of sensitivity to cultural awareness, and that you had started to take a journey in educating your community about what you were observing and experiencing in terms of the gap, the lack of understanding. So I would love for you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what I realized that when I was starting to work with the kids locally in Jamaica, I realized that what I was learning in the classroom, it did not translate into practice with the kids that I was working with. Because one, we did not have the same access to funding. We did not have the same resources. And I found that parents were jumping through lots of more hoops and they had to do lots of more mental gymnastics. The hours were a lot lower. And then again, unfortunately, we have a huge stigma against mental disorders and mental illness in the Caribbean and in Jamaica. And so for me, it was very challenging to provide services and to get parents on board because it was very taboo. They didn't like to use certain words, they didn't like to use the word even autism. And so for me, I realized that there's a disconnect between what was considered to be the gold standard as opposed to what I was able to do. So I decided that I got really frustrated. And so I decided to, I think I wrote a blog in 2012, and my supervisor said, I think that this would do really well as a paper at ABAI, which is the Association for Behavior Analysis International. And they have a conference every year at a different city across the United States. They just had one last week in Boston. And so I submitted the paper. I didn't think it would go anywhere. Then they actually accepted it. And that was the first one I did in 2013, where I spoke about the cultural sensitivities and how to bridge the gap in behavior analysis in Jamaica.
Yeah, that's amazing. And now that you're saying it again, for me, I think I'm hearing it the third time, but realizing that I'm guessing BCBA was originated and developed in the United States, and here you were trying to apply it, which is an evidence-based protocol, applying it in Jamaica, and you were finding that it wasn't a good fit. There were certain things missing in terms of providing the service in an effective manner that the clients and the families you're working with are receptive to it and that they're benefiting from it.
Exactly.
So you then you write a blog, and then you start presenting to the BCBA international community in the conferences.
Yes, because I was very passionate, because as I said, I made a vow to myself that I was going to find a way to make it culturally relevant and culturally applicable. Because I said that it works, and it's definitely, it works and it's proven to work, but I felt that there was the part that was missing, and there was a part of cultural sensitivity that was missing, and that I found that everything, even though, we speak towards individualizing our treatment plans, I found that even when we're doing our assessments, we don't consider the language of assessment or the parents' first language or the language that is spoken at home. And then even when we're creating programs, we don't always consider what is going on in the home. So when we're teaching things, we might think that something is a deficit when it's actually not a deficit. It's just, it might be a language barrier, or it doesn't exist in that child's realm of knowledge or world, in their worlds. And so you have to take a step back to meet the families where they're at, and so that we're meeting their individual needs. And I've heard a lot of other colleagues of mine say, oh my gosh, these parents, they're not open to doing these things and implementing stuff. And I'm like, well, we have to also meet them where they are and consider where they're coming from culturally, and considering the situation that, these, again, where they're coming from as the family values and what is their family situation and their unique familial makeup as well. So
Yeah, I love that. And also it's not just I would say it's not just in terms of providing behavioral analysis as a modality, but as a therapist working with families and individuals, we all have our unique background and microcosm from which we have developed. And so there's unique features for all of us that we have different priorities and different things going on in terms of our language and our understanding and what we take away. So it takes creativity and it takes sensitivity, I think, to meet a client where they're at, whether
yes.
in the realm of behavioral analysis or in mental health, which they're very similarly aligned. So
Yes,
I
yes.
want to ask you something about, so I know that you took this journey, right? Starting with behavioral analysis, but that wasn't you had shared with me that wasn't really your intent. You wanted all along to be a mental health professional. So
Yes.
just how did that happen? And tell me a little bit about your passion about being in mental health, your interest in it.
So ironically, so again, I think it stems from my own personal cultural and familial values and the microcosm that I come from. So when I graduated with my undergrad degree, unfortunately, my dad got very sick. And so I made a decision that I was going to move back to Jamaica and be there for my parents. And then, so what that meant that because I couldn't be on campus and I had to switch to another degree program. And so I switched from the mental health counseling I kind of fell into ABA. And so through all of that, through everything, and I do think it was very valuable and I don't regret making that decision at all. But then through my own personal values and my culture and everything, that I ended up in ABA, and then I ended up going back now I'm back into this mental health counseling journey. And then it started, I would say, around the age 13, where I'd have lots of friends come to me with their issues. Whether they're struggling with their identity, their sexual identity, they were struggling because they felt like they didn't belong in society. And they would say things to me like, Kimberly, I feel like I wish I could just wish this away. It would be so much easier if I was not like this, or I don't feel like I belong. And they feel like they have to live up to this ideal and these social expectations. And for me, it was really frustrating and sad to see, because we have so much stigma with mental illness, I think, in Jamaica, the Greater Caribbean, and I think in the general multicultural communities, that we're told that we're meant to, the narrative that we're told that we're meant to keep pushing no matter what is thrown our way. We're told that we're supposed to push through it, and no matter what is thrown at us, we're supposed to just keep pushing through it. And it's almost as if, like, if you admit that you're struggling, or you admit that you're having some type of mental illness, or you're struggling with your mental health, you're in the scarlet letter where you have the red A for adultery, and it's like I've read like you're branding yourself like, I have mental illness, or I suffer with mental illness or challenges. And I really, again, it's very sad for me. So I felt from then I wanted to break the stigma and break the barriers that we have, and make people realize it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I am feeling depressed, or I am struggling. And so I think the passion developed from I was 13. And then it kind of grew from there as I learned more about it. And then I really, as I said, I want people to be comfortable in their own skin. I want people to learn the facts about mental health illness, that it is a disease. It's not make you weak. It doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It is what it is. And so I think educating people in the community, and also just letting them know that even though the narrative that we're told is that we're supposed to be strong all the time, we're supposed to push through adversity, which is fine, but it's okay to ask for help as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, listening to you and knowing that, I think your passion, what I'm hearing from you is your interest is to empower people, to help them
Yes.
not get stuck in a persona as something that they have to live up to.
Yes.
And help them to find their way, whatever way that is.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and that there are tools out there to help you to get through whatever it is you're going through. And it could be something that you think is minute, but it really isn't. Because I think your experience is your experience, and your experience is valid regardless. And I don't think that one person's experience is worse than the others. So I think that's a huge thing too, that we feel like it's almost as if this has to be a struggle competition, and it doesn't have to be. It's your journey is your journey. And if it makes you feel a certain way, then I think you should honor that and honor your emotions, and again, find the right coping tools and mechanisms to get through it, and it will pass as well.
I'm very much looking forward to having you work with my counseling connections and in our practice. And I look forward to future conversations where we can start to learn a little bit more about some of the thoughts you've cultivated and ideas in regards to helping other professionals in terms of cultural sensitivity and anything else that you have to share. I'm looking forward to talking to you again more. And thank you so much for your time. And
thank you so much, Tammy, for having me.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to reach out to Kimberly, feel free to either go to our website, mycounselingconnections.com, or call the number at the bottom of the screen, 954-477-7455, and you can schedule a complimentary consultation and discuss whether or not Kimberly's a right fit and see how she can be helpful to you. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.